Hello. So this is my presentation on assertiveness training. That's the behavior therapy that I had to research. One second. Okay. And so looking at assertiveness training, pioneers that we have, beginning with Andrew Salter in 1961. He wanted to create a treatment that would combat personality traits such as anxiety or nervousness. That's what they referred to it back then. And so what he did was develop these excitatory exercises as a behavior therapy for assertiveness. And although he himself did not coin the term assertive, that's who we refer to as one of the first pioneers, because people were able to expand on this idea of the exposure therapy and having that be a behavior treatment for people with anxiety. So a man named Joseph Wolpe then expanded on these ideas because he had a firm belief that people cannot be assertive and have anxiety simultaneously. So having that said, he developed this treatment further with exposure therapy and having people do these exercises in order to become more assertive and in order to sort of combat the anxiety. That's what he believed. And so when we look at assertiveness training, the key concepts of this are increasing awareness of one's personal rights. So what that looks like is what are you willing to accept in your life? What are you willing to change? Why are you accepting of those things? Should you be accepting of those things? And things that you would like to change, why are you changing them? Are they triggering for you? Why do they make you a less assertive person? And things like that, taking in that personal right and having that personal awareness and sort of taking an inventory of what you will accept in your life as to make you a more assertive person. Second is learning verbal and nonverbal assertiveness. Sometimes body language speaks just as much volume as having verbal assertiveness. So kind of do you exhibit body language that makes you non-assertive or has people disrespecting your boundaries, things of that nature. Again, a personal inventory of how we react to each other in the world. Number 3, passive-aggressive and aggressiveness. A lot of people, have heard other people call people passive-aggressive, and it is something that inhibits assertiveness. People think just because sometimes we don't say something or we may say something in a snide way that it gets our point across and that we're assertive because we are dealing with the confrontation, but that's not necessarily true. So what assertive, aggression looks like is being not aggressive, but actually coming and confronting a problem head on without having an aggressive tone. And so that's another component of assertiveness training, is how do I express myself in a way that's non-threatening to the other person and in a way that's not going to inhibit my growth as becoming more assertive with dealing with my anxiety or depression or whatever the case may be. And finally, again, all of this is looking at, are you being non-assertive, or you think that you're being assertive and you're not assertive? How do we differentiate between those two, and what qualities assertive people have? And so looking at the qualities of assertive people are able to express thoughts, feelings, and desires. They have the free will to do that. Everyone has the right to their opinion, but they express their thoughts, feelings, and desires in a healthier way. So what that looks like is freely expressing all factors of a spectrum of emotions, including anger. Learning to control your anger. And by controlling anger, I think we sometimes think about this person that's very peaceful and zen and doesn't let anything get to them, but the reality is that we are all human and we are going to have things that anger us. Right? But so how do we control that and not repress it, control it in a constructive way to identify why we're getting angry, the steps that we can take to address the anger and who maybe the anger is placed on and how to deal with that in a healthy environment. And all of that is coupled with having a sense of awareness of your emotions. And that's a great skill that assertive people definitely have and maintain and know how to do. That being said, assertive people know their rights, they know their healthy boundaries, and that is something that they stick with. Not just because they put blocks up or walls. Assertive people have the ability to willingly understand what they will not and will accept in their life. And so with that, a lot of times that is coupled with relationships. Assertive people rarely get involved in codependent relationships, right? They have this very great ability to initiate and maintain personal relationships. And their relationships are based off of a give and take. So where my needs are and where are yours, and how are we going to meet in the middle and give and take, Sometimes codependency looks like that from the outside, but really assertive people have the ability to be their own individual person as well as being in a relationship, maintaining their identity. And so with that, they can also compromise and have good self-esteem. And that's a skill that a lot of assertive people have. The ability to compromise and meet people halfway, whether it's their anger, whether it's a relationship, where are we going to meet in the middle? This is how I feel, and what are we going to do to make sure that both of us are happy in this situation? And so that is another thing that assertive people have. Assertive people, the way that assertive training works is developing the I statements. So, I think, I feel, I want, I need, those things, expressing those things sort of in an unapologetic way. And also having the ability to have a negative inquiry and assertion on criticism. And a lot of time, assertiveness training happens in employment because some people get very sensitive to criticism. And it might be on the other end of someone's delivery, but assertive people are able to take an active negative inquiry about a criticism and assert it in a positive way without disagreeing. Because as we all understand, everybody has their own opinions, but if we take stock of our weaknesses, that's what assertive people do. Factor in where they can improve from a non-biased, not taking a personal standpoint, and assert themselves into this role and continue to grow in employment or in their healing and development, any aspect of their life. And so assertiveness can treat anxiety, depression, OCD, and eating disorders. That's what it's most famously known for, because a majority of the time anxiety presents itself as a negative self-talk, right? So kind of like, oh, I can't do this. How am I ever going to be able to move forward? An example of this, I know we're supposed to look at kind of like a role play. And an example of assertive training kind of in real time would be someone who, has anxiety, maybe a previous trauma, saying, I can't leave my house, even when people call me on the phone and I'm upset with them, I can never tell them how I feel. And so I kind of hold everything in, and I just feel like I'm a ticking time bomb. And so, what an assertive therapist might say is, what triggered this? You being not able to go out of your house, or, how do you not have the ability to express to another person your feelings? Feelings are feelings. We all have feelings, and we need to be able to express them. And this anger that you talk about holding inside, wouldn't it be better just to maybe explain why you're angry? Not in a mean way, but just be able to maybe express to even yourself why you're so angry about this, and deal with that in that healthy way. And the people that you're talking about, have you put up boundaries with them? Or are these people just coming in and out of your life, and that's why you're kind of angry with them, because you haven't put up a clear boundary and now someone is disrespecting you? And if that is the case, are you able to come to a compromise where you say, okay, I would appreciate if you only called me at this time on this day every week, and that's it. That's the only time I can talk, and those sort of things. So just kind of navigating where there are little places where we can insert assertiveness, and maybe give someone the tools to become more assertive in their own independence and more assertive with their mental illness, and kind of reframing those questions or statements that we have with ourselves when people get into, the symptoms of anxiety or depression or OCD or eating disorders, and how we can change that. And I was looking at the people that this might not be the best treatment for, and what I could only find was really like acute intoxication, because most of the time they're not, they don't have that much cognitive work going on due to their, brain malfunctioning at the time, and so it wouldn't really be possible for them to grasp the whole understanding of what assertiveness training is at that very moment. That's not to say later they couldn't. And also people with personality disorders, this might be troubling for, just because there are more appropriate levels of treatment for them, such as cognitive restructuring, CBT, DBT. Those things are more really much better geared for people with personality disorders. But assertiveness training definitely works for the disorders that it's supposed to. And so thank you for watching.